So today we are going to be making beef short rib on mashed potatoes. This is one of my favorite meals ever with a nice reduction sauce. It is an absolutely beautiful meal, fall apart, tender beef on creamy mashed potatoes with a beautiful reduction sauce. I can't wait to get into this. Let's do it. The ingredients we are going to need for today are, of course, the star of the show, our beef short rib, and I've salted that last night so it can soak into the meat, so we don't have to worry about doing that before we put it in the pan. I'll just give it some pepper and we're good to go there. We have our celery, carrot, and onion. It's a mirepoix. It's going to be used in the pot with the braising liquid. It's going to give a bunch of flavor to our short rib here. We have rosemary. Simple, and then some tomato paste, some red wine, garlic, and of course salt and pepper, and the beef stock. And the mashed potatoes that we're going to make today, of course, we've got our potatoes, butter, some cream cheese, yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so while we're heating for our pot to heat up so we can sear our short rib, I'm just going to start getting the vegetables ready. So we're just going to peel and chop up the vegetables. We're not actually serving these vegetables with the meal today, and since it's just to add flavor to the braising liquid, we don't really need to worry about doing a fine dice or anything, so it's just going to be a very rough chop. Of course, if you like your skins on, you can leave them on. You can just make sure you wash them, obviously. So, like I said, we're just going to give these a really rough chop. We don't have to worry about making them the same size or fine dice or whatever to make them look good. So, for the beef ribs that I'm making today, I have 2 onions here that we've halved. And like I said, we're just giving them a rough chop. I have 3 stalks of celery and 2 carrots. Just going to get our vegetables in a bowl so it's easier to transfer over to the pot when we're ready for them and to clear up the cutting board. All right, and we got our garlic here. Again, this is just to flavor the braising liquid, so I'm not going to worry about chopping them up. I'm just going to give them a bit of a crush and get the skin off the outside. And the reason for crushing the garlic and not leaving it whole is just so that the oils inside the garlic and flavors can get out. It makes it a lot easier when you bruise garlic or vegetables or herbs to release those oils. And again, I'm just gonna use the back of my knife here to just bruise the rosemary. I don't actually want to chop it up. If you want, you could even leave the rosemary on the stalk. And again, that's just to get those oils released from the rosemary so it can impart its flavor to the stalk a little easier. So our pot's probably definitely hot by now. All right, so we got our pepper, and we're just gonna get these in the oil. Have a look at these. As you can see, we're getting a nice good sear on that. That's exactly what we're looking for. Make sure you do all sides. Make sure you get all sides of your meat seared. It's a Maillard reaction that's happening, and it's going to add a really, really, really great flavor to the dish. So we're just looking to get some of this color over the whole piece of meat all around, just this nice seared brown color. All right, so we've got all of our beef now seared off and taken out of the pot and waiting here. So now we're going to get our vegetables in there and our garlic and our rosemary. Now we're just going to cook these until they're softened. And when you get them in there, just try and scrape all that stuff off the bottom of the pot from searing of the meat. That's going to be a lot of flavor that's going to add it to the dish as well. Whatever doesn't come off right away with the wine, it will come right off after that. All right, well, our vegetables have softened up here enough. So I'm going to add the tomato paste in. Get that cooked in here. So we're just gonna let that tomato paste cook for a little bit before we put our wine in. And when we put our wine in, we're just gonna let that reduce by half, and then we can move on with getting the rest of the meat in, the beef stock, and get it in the oven. The oven we have set at 325, and it's probably gonna take 3 to 3.5 hours to cook the beef short rib. Okay, we got our tomato paste has been cooking for long enough. It doesn't take very long, couple minutes. So we're gonna put about 1.5 cups of wine. 300 milliliters, 1.5 cups, somewhere in there. So our wine has reduced by half now, and thickened up quite a bit here with our tomato paste and our vegetables, and we have a really good base for our sauce already started, which is fantastic. So now we're just going to get our meat in the sauce. Just try to, stand them up, fit it in as well as you can. Some of these pieces are very different sizes, so I know it's not ideal, but it doesn't really matter. It's all going to turn out absolutely delicious. So we got our meat in there. Now you want to fill enough liquid in here to, just go about 3/4 of the way up the meat, maybe a little more, and that's about it. Now, I don't have any beef stock right now. I have a little bit of chicken stock left, but no beef stock until I make some more. So I'm just using a store-bought. If you do that, make sure you get a no salt added stock. If you cook this and reduce it for so long with that much salt in it, it's just gonna come out as a really salty sauce. You're not gonna enjoy it at all. All right, that's probably definitely enough sauce. So we're going to let that come up to a boil. Then we'll get a lid on that and get it in the oven. Okay, now that we have our liquids here has come up to a boil, we can get this in the oven. So I'm just going to put the lid on, not all the way. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a gap here because I do want the sauce to reduce at the same time that it's cooking in the oven a little bit. That's gonna be less reduction that I need at the end of the cook. So like I said, that's gonna cook at 325 for about 3 to 3.5 hours. And then after it comes out, you're gonna wanna let that rest. So just get a timer on for 3 hours. Start there, we'll check it and see how it is, and we'll go from there.
3 hours later.
All right, so we have about half an hour, as you can see from the time, until the ribs are done in the oven. So we're gonna get started on these potatoes. So first, let's get these peeled. All right, well, potatoes are in the water. We got the heat on. So we're just gonna wait for those to boil, and then we'll get them ready to go. So there's about 2 minutes left, so we're just gonna take this out of the oven and have a look at it and see how it's doing. Always watch out for that initial blast wave of heat. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna look to see if they're tender, basically. And yes, they are done. So we're gonna take these out of the pot. As you can see, the bones and the meat and everything is just falling apart. I was hoping it would hold together a little bit better, but that's all right. Okay, so we want to get the liquid out of here and strain out the rest of it. But first, we're gonna take some of the fat off of here, just so we don't end up with all of that. We're just gonna use a ladle to skim the fat off the top. And we just want to squeeze all that down, get all the juice out of that as much as we can. We'll go back in here with our juice. We'll turn that on, get it up to a boil, and start reducing it till we're left with a beautiful sauce. So the potatoes are done. Get our butter in there, our cream cheese, salt and pepper. A little bit of milk or cream, depending on what you prefer. And then just give them a mash. Okay, so our sauce is reduced quite a bit, as you can see here. So I'm gonna get some cold butter out of the fridge and cube it up, and we're gonna stir some of that in there.
You should put that part.
And you wanna do this with cold butter. It is important. So I'm just gonna cut little pieces of cold butter, and we'll add them in a little bit at a time and stir them in. And this should thicken up the sauce a little and give it a nice rich flavor. I think maybe one more little stick of butter should do it. Starting to get to the point where it's thick enough now where it's coating the back of the spoon. So we know the sauce is getting to that perfect point. So as you can see, I removed some of the fat from here and relayed them out. So these are our beautiful short ribs. They're looking absolutely fantastic. You definitely don't have to remove any of the fat. If you're one of those people that loves to eat fat, then you would leave it out all in there. I'm not. So mashed potatoes, our customary drizzle of olive oil. We'll just go with this nice big guy here. That's the one that's gonna be looking the best. And we'll just get some of our sauce. Drizzle over the mashed potatoes. And we'll just put a little parsley on there. A little sprig on top, make it look all pretty. Not pretty like mittens, but close. And there we are. Beef short rib, mashed potatoes, and a lovely reduction. Dinner is served. No, dinner is served. Dinner is served. Dinner is served. Dinner is served.